Hi folks, it's Ivo here from Thundermist Lure Company. Welcome to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. And you know, if there's one question I get asked a lot, it's about fishing rods. What rod are you using? Why are you using it? Let's take a minute and just talk about some generalities about fishing rods that might help you pick out your next fishing rod, or when you're looking for a fishing rod, which rod to use. Now, we're not going to get into all the specifics of these high strain graphites and all the different strains out there, but we are going to talk about the generalities that'll help you make a decision in picking up a rod. For example, the first thing you have to decide is one piece or two piece. Well, a one piece rod, much stronger, much more sensitive, much more durable, better performance overall. A two-piece rod, however, very convenient. Goes in the trunk of a car, or if you're walking through woods or some thick areas where you want to take apart your rod, very, very convenient. But the most convenient is it goes in the trunk of a car very, very nicely, and it travels very easily. So if you're looking for ease of use, ease of travel, two-piece rod. If you're looking for overall performance and better sensitivity and longer lasting, stronger rod, one piece, always the way to go. Now, there are different actions or different powers with fishing rods. That's the next thing you need to decide. There's ultralight, light, medium, heavy, medium, heavy. So an ultralight rod, very simple. Ultralight is exactly that. It's ultralight. It's made for light lures, light fishing. So when you're fishing for panfish, if you like to use very small jigs, 1/16 ounce, 32nd ounce, all that light tackle, light line for small fish, ultralight, or even a light power fishing rod, perfect. Okay. The next thing you go to a medium. There's also medium light. There's different levels in between, but we're just going to jump to medium. A medium action or medium power rod is basically good for most fishing applications. It's one of those general all-purpose rods, medium power, which has a bit of backbone, a little bit of backbone for hook setting power. It can be used for casting lures, it can be used for working jigs, and it can be used for live bait, most general applications. And like I say, it has decent power for hook setting. So it's a good, I'm going to say it's a good all-around rod. If you had to pick one rod, pick a medium power rod, and that'll do you in most applications. Next, you get to medium heavy and heavy. Now, with the medium heavy or heavy rod, you've got a stiffer base here. You've got a lot more backbone for hook setting and a lot more, let's say a lot more power. You could use heavier jigs, especially if you're jigging deep water where you've got a stronger hook set, a better hook set, and anytime you want to work any of those heavier jigs or lures, or if you're just fishing deep with a rig, live bait rig, and you need that hook setting power, a medium heavy is just going to give you, a medium heavy or a heavy is going to give you a lot more backbone here and a lot more hook setting power. So you're going to want to use a rod like that when you're fishing those deeper applications and heavier jigs or heavier lures. The next thing that I get asked a lot is, what about length of rod? Well, basically, as a general rule, the shorter or smaller the rod, so if you've got a 5-foot rod and I've got an 8-foot fishing rod, your 5-foot fishing rod is going to only cast so far. My 8-foot fishing rod is going to cast a lot further. So you can get further casts with longer fishing rods. But probably the most important thing a longer fishing rod does than a shorter fishing rod is the longer the fishing rod, the less pressure on your line and the less pressure on your drag system. So it just makes things, it absorbs more of the power from the fish over a longer fishing rod than it does over a shorter fishing rod. So a shorter fishing rod, there's more pressure on your line and there's more pressure on your drag system. However, a little short fishing rod, again, if you're fishing just for panfish, no problem. It's very easy. You can get away with a short rod. But if you've got a longer fishing rod and you're going for bigger game fish, definitely the way to go. And the last thing, I guess, if we're just talking generalities in fishing rods, is the action on the tip. more or less. Fast action or slow action. Those are your two basics. And a fast action, a tip with a fast action means, and if you go to grab a fishing rod, please don't grab it like this and pull it down, because you're putting pressure on it that it isn't designed to take. Because when you grab a fishing rod from the tip and pull on it, you're just basically putting pressure on that very one end. But when you grab the fishing line and pull on it, you're putting pressure on the entire fishing rod, and that's how you want to check it. So when I pull on this line, you can see here it's bending more at the tip right here. So that's what I'm going to call, this is a fast tip. Fast tip, the rod bends at the tip more so than anywhere else, and you need that when you're working live bait or when you're fishing a jig, that sort of application. You want that fast tip. Now a slow tip, on the other hand, if you pull on the line, a slow tip will bend from here almost basically to your rod handle, to here. You get a bend of your rod that goes like this as opposed to just on the end. So a slow tip is going to bend all the way, and that is ideal for casting crankbaits or for trolling, because it takes up more of the pressure and gives you a better opportunity to set the hook and not pull the lure out of the fish's mouth. So if you're going to be trolling a lot, or if you're going to be working crankbaits, a fishing rod with a slow tip would be ideal, as opposed to a fast tip, which is better for live bait and jigging. So a few generalities there. I hope some of these will help you decide on your next fishing rod without getting into all the different particulars. But those are some general guidelines that hopefully will help you pick out your next fishing rod. And it's always fun to pick out a fishing rod or new tackle. And if you do, think of those tips, and hopefully it'll help you along the way. I want to thank you ever so much for tuning in to today's episode of Thundermist Fishing Tips. And as always, folks, until next time, good luck and good fishing.